Hello and welcome to First Look at SAP, an introductory guided tour of the SAP ERP interface. Imagine it's your first day at Pepsi and you've just logged into SAP. The screen that greets you might look complex at first glance with menus, buttons, and a lot of information. Have you ever logged into a new system and thought, where do I even start? You're not alone. Many beginners feel a bit overwhelmed by SAP's interface initially. The good news is that, just like learning to navigate a new smartphone, once you understand the basics, it becomes second nature. By the end of this lesson, you'll be comfortable identifying the key parts of the SAP GUI Easy Access screen and understand how to begin your work after logging in. Are you ready to dive in and turn that intimidating first screen into a familiar friend? Let's get started. When you log on to SAP, the SAP Easy Access screen is your home base. It's the first thing you see after entering your credentials. This screen is essentially a dashboard that provides access to everything you have permission to do in SAP. To make it less abstract, let's break down the layout into simple sections and elements you'll use every day. Remember, each part of this screen has a purpose, and knowing what's what will make your SAP life much easier. As you can see above, the SAP Easy Access screen is divided into a few key areas. There's a top section with menus and icons, your menu bar and toolbars, a left side navigation tree, and a bottom status bar. Let's walk through each of these components one by one. By understanding these, you'll know exactly how to start navigating SAP just like experienced users at Pepsi do, even if you're brand new to the system. On the left side of the Easy Access screen, you'll find the navigation panel displayed as a collapsible tree of folders. This is where you can browse through SAP's structured menu of transactions and reports. There are actually two views available here, the SAP menu and the user menu. SAP Menu is the complete menu of all SAP functions available in the system, organized by modules like logistics, accounting, human resources, and so on. It's a comprehensive list of transactions and activities offered by SAP. The SAP menu is the same for all users. It's not role-specific, showing the full range of options in the system. Think of it as the master list of everything SAP can do. For example, if you expand logistics in the SAP menu, you'll see subfolders for sales and distribution, materials management, and so on, each containing further options. This is great when you want to explore or aren't sure where something is located. The user menu is a personalized subset of the SAP menu. In this system, my user ID don't have a user menu assigned, but I will choose a menu for demonstration purpose. User menu contains only the items, transactions, reports, and so on that are relevant to your role and daily tasks. In other words, SAP can be configured by your administrators to show you a streamlined menu with just the functions you need for your job. For instance, if you work in sales at Pepsi, your user menu might directly show options related to sales orders, deliveries, and billing without the clutter of HR or finance transactions that you never use. The user menu is a user-specific point of entry that simplifies navigation by hiding everything that's not needed for your role. Many new users find it helpful to start with the user menu to stay focused on their tasks. You can toggle between the SAP menu and user menu at any time by clicking Menu SAP Menu or Menu User Menu in the top menu bar, or with keyboard shortcuts Ctrl plus F11 and Ctrl plus F10. Now let me ask you a reflective question. Which menu view do you think you would prefer when starting out? The full SAP menu to explore everything, or the simplified user menu tailored to your job? There's no wrong answer, but it's useful to know you have both options. Often, beginners stick to the user menu to avoid feeling overwhelmed. As you gain confidence, you might click over to the SAP menu to discover what else is out there. Right at the top of the navigation panel, you'll notice a folder called Favorites, contents marked with a star icon. This is your personal shortcuts area. You can think of favorites like bookmarks in a web browser. They let you quickly access the transactions or reports you use most often without drilling down through menus each time. By default, this folder might be empty or have a couple of examples, but you can add any item to it. For example, if you frequently need to display sales orders or run a specific report, you can add those to your favorites with a couple of clicks. The new favorite will appear in your list for easy access. At Pepsi, let's say you often look up customer orders and inventory stock levels. You could add the display sales order transaction and the stock overview report to your favorites. Next time you log in, you can simply expand favorites and double-click the item, saving you from navigating deep into the menu. Over time, as you discover your go-to transactions, your favorites folder becomes a handy, personalized menu. It's all about working smarter, not harder. To add a favorite in SAP GUI, you can right-click on the favorites folder and choose Add Transaction to enter a transaction code directly, or navigate to an item in the SAP user menu, then go to the menu bar and choose Favorites. Add the selected item to your favorites. Either way, it's simple to build your quick access list. Now let's reflect on this. What kinds of tasks do you think you'd add to your favorites? Consider which SAP actions you might perform daily or weekly. Those are great candidates to bookmark. Setting up favorites is one of the first things experienced users do to personalize SAP for their needs. How might having your own custom menu help you feel more at home in SAP? Now, let's look at the top area of the SAP Easy Access screen, which consists of the menu bar, the standard toolbar, icon buttons, and the command field. This is where you can issue commands or quickly navigate to business functions if you know the appropriate transaction codes. Menu bar is the horizontal text menu at the very top with options like System, Edit, Navigate, Help, and so on. The menu bar will always have System and Help menus and other menus that change depending on what screen or transaction you're in. On the Easy Access home screen, the menu bar includes options to customize the view or to log off, for example. If you click these menu items, you'll see drop-down options just like in other software. For instance, under System, you can create a new session or log off. For now, just remember, it's there for various functions and will adapt to wherever you are in SAP. Right below the menu bar is the standard toolbar and is a row of icon buttons. This is the standard toolbar. These icons provide quick access to common functions such as create a new session, save, back, exit, and so on. And you'll see them on almost every SAP screen. For example, the leftmost icon, a blank page, opens a new session, allowing you to have multiple windows of SAP open so you can multitask. The green arrow icon is back, which takes you to the previous screen, and the yellow arrow icon is exit to leave the current function. There's also a printer icon for print and others for things like search. These toolbar buttons are always in the same place, so you can quickly click them without going through menus. In fact, they map to common keyboard shortcuts like F3 for back as an example. The standard toolbar spans the top of the window, right under the menu bar, and at the far right end of it is the command field. The command field is a white input box usually located at the top of the SAP screen often at the right side of the toolbar. This field is powerful. It lets you jump directly to any SAP transaction if you know its code, bypassing the menu navigation. Every SAP function, like creating a sales order, viewing a report, changing a customer record, has a transaction code, often called T code, like VA03 for display sales order. In the command field, you can simply type the T code and hit enter on your keyboard, and SAP will instantly take you to that screen. It's a shortcut lover's dream. For instance, instead of clicking through menus, logistics, sales and distribution, sales orders, display, you could just type VA03 in the command field and press enter, and boom, you're in the display sales order screen. We'll try this in just a moment. On the Easy Access screen, the command field might also show tips or the last transaction you entered. If you ever don't see the command field, it might be hidden. You can show or hide it via a small arrow icon near the toolbar. One more thing about the command field and toolbar. They're always there, no matter where you go in SAP. So even if you're deep in a transaction screen, the top part of the window still has the menu bar, toolbar icons, and command field available. That means you can always enter a new T code to jump somewhere else or use the toolbar buttons to navigate. SAP is designed so that these navigation controls are consistently at your fingertips. Now consider this reflective question. Do you prefer navigating by clicking through menus, or would you rather type a quick code and jump straight to a screen? Some people love the mouse, others love the keyboard. SAP accommodates both. As you get familiar with common T codes, you might find the command field to be a real time saver. Give it a try whenever you know where you want to go. Finally, at the very bottom of the SAP GUI window, you'll see the status bar. This is an important yet often overlooked part of the interface. The status bar spans the bottom and displays helpful information about your session and system, as well as messages from SAP. On the right end of the status bar, you'll usually see indicators like the system ID, the client number, and your username. This area basically reminds you which system and client you're in. Useful if you work with multiple SAP systems or clients. On the left side of the status bar is where system messages appear. Whenever you do something in SAP, the system will often give feedback here. For example, if you successfully save a document, you might see a confirmation message in green on the status bar saying order saved. If there's an error, like you tried to execute a transaction you're not authorized for, or you forgot to fill a required field, an error message will appear here in red. It's SAP's way of talking to you. The status bar might also show other contextual info. For instance, if you're on a certain screen, it might display the transaction code of that screen or other hints. You can even click the message on the status bar to get more details in some cases. For instance, clicking an error message often gives technical details. Keep an eye on the status bar as you work, especially if something seems to not happen. Often, a message will appear there explaining why. For new users, one classic example is entering a command or pressing a button and nothing changes on screen. Check the status bar. It might say something like, fill out all required fields, or you are not authorized to execute this action, which are important clues for your next step. Now that we know the main areas of the Easy Access screen, let's navigate into a real SAP screen to see how a user typically starts work. We won't perform any actual business transaction just yet. we're simply taking a peek to demonstrate navigation. Remember, at Pepsi, we handle a lot of sales orders every day. So as an example, we'll open the display sales order screen. This is something a sales or customer service employee might do to view the details of a customer's order. There are two common ways to reach the display sales order function or almost any function in SAP via the menu path or by using the transaction code. We'll look at both. Let's start with using the SAP menu. In the SAP menu, the left navigation tree, you could find the path to display sales order. It would be under Logistics, Sales and Distribution, Sales Orders, Display VA03. To get there, you would click each of those folders in sequence. Expand Logistics, then Sales and Distribution, and so on until you reach Display. The final item Display under Orders is the transaction for viewing a sales order VA03. If you double click that, SAP will open the Display Sales Order screen. This method is a bit like following a map. It's visual and helps you learn where things are in the system. It might take a few clicks, but it's straightforward, especially if you don't remember the code. Let's now access using the transaction code VA03. If you already know the transaction code for display sales order, you can use the command field at the top to go there instantly. Click into the command field, type VA03 and press enter. SAP will immediately navigate to the display sales order screen. This is much faster once you know the code since it skips all the menu clicking. Many experienced users at Pepsi prefer this method for speed. It's the equivalent of a shortcut or a cheat code to jump directly to your destination. After using either method, you should now see the display sales order screen on your SAP GUI. In the display sales order screen, SAP will typically prompt you for an order number to view. At this point, if you were actually going to display an order, you'd enter an order number and hit enter to retrieve it. We won't go further than this for now, but the key point is you've successfully navigated from the home screen into a specific SAP function. Take a moment to recognize what we just did. You logged in, saw the Easy Access home screen, and then opened a particular application viewing a sales order either by drilling down through the menu or by typing a code. This is exactly how real work in SAP begins. A user logs in, then navigates to the area they need to work in, be it creating a new sales order, running a report, updating a purchase order, or anything else. The Easy Access screen is merely the starting point, and you now know how to move beyond it to get to where the action is. Now let me ask you a reflective question. Which navigation method do you think you'll use more often? Browsing through the menus or using transaction codes? Maybe a mix of both? Many beginners start with the menus to learn the structure and then gradually memorize their favorite T codes for speed. There's also a handy search function, Find, in the menu if you're ever stuck trying to locate a transaction by name. The more you practice, the more intuitive it will become. For now, give yourself a pat on the back. You've taken your first steps in SAP navigation. In this lesson, we took a friendly tour of the SAP GUI Easy Access screen and its key elements. The navigation menus, SAP Menu versus User Menu, your favorites folder for quick access, the command field and toolbar buttons for speedy navigation, and the status bar for important messages. You also saw how a user at Pepsi might begin their day in SAP, logging in and opening a screen like Display Sales Order without feeling lost. It's normal if you don't remember every icon or menu item yet. You'll get more familiar with them as you use SAP. The important thing is that the SAP interface is no longer a mystery. You can log in and say, okay, I know what I'm looking at and how to start finding what I need. Learning SAP is a bit like learning to drive. At first, there are a lot of controls, but soon you'll use them effortlessly. And remember, SAP is built to help you, not confuse you. Even the seemingly complicated interface is organized to make your work easier once you know where to look. So the next time you see the Easy Access screen, take a deep breath and smile. You know this. Before we wrap up, here are a couple of questions to ponder. There's no single correct answer, they're just for your own reflection. Now that you've had a first look, which part of the SAP Easy Access screen do you find most useful and why? Also, what are you most curious to explore next in SAP? Thinking about these will reinforce what you learned and get you excited for what's coming. Now that you're oriented and feeling more confident with the SAP interface, you're all set to dive into deeper understanding topics. In the upcoming lessons, we'll build on this foundation. You'll learn further getting started topics and then proceed to learn how to navigate through SAP menus in detail, execute transactions step by step, and perform common business tasks in the system. Keep this introductory knowledge in mind, and let's proceed to the next lesson of your SAP learning adventure.